Sitting down to write this speech, I struggled to accurately convey my thoughts on traditional grading. I kept trying to make a very gray area black and white. My experience has not been awful. I've gained a lot from the traditional grading system. Friends, good teacher-student relationships, and a solid understanding of concepts I use in my everyday life. I've also lost a lot due to the traditional grading system. Friends, good teacher-student relationships, and a solid understanding of concepts I could have used in my everyday life. I initially was bothered by this realization that our education system is okay, neither good nor bad. I wanted the education system to be bad in a weird way to give me an excuse to want to improve it. But as I thought about this, a quote from educational philosopher John Dewey came to mind. If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. In other words, we must constantly seek to improve our education system. There will always be something to improve, no matter how good the system is. And that's where alternative grading comes in. Alternative grading doesn't have a set definition, but it typically has at least one of 4 key characteristics. Clearly defined standards, reattempts without penalty, marks that indicate progress, and helpful feedback. I believe alternative grading has the power to improve education for 2 main reasons. 1, it aims to improve aspects of traditional grading. In particular, many alternative grading systems have the goal of promoting positive relationships, developing metacognition, and improving interpersonal skills, all of which have been neglected in the traditional grading system. 2, it is successful in practice, not just in theory. Multiple studies have demonstrated these points, which I will further elaborate on. In a study done at Andrews University, alternative grading was used in an Organic Chemistry 1 course to increase student engagement, learning, and reduce DFW rates. 4 competency quizzes were administered, and while these quizzes did not impact a student's grade, they were graded on a pass-fail basis, in which students had to pass the quizzes to obtain a C- or higher. Comparing semesters without competency quizzes and those with, there were very minimal changes in course grades and the DFW rate. However, the paper points out that the competency quizzes successfully increased student engagement with the professor and received positive feedback from students. One thing I love about this study is that it had the goal of increasing student and teacher interactions. So even though the DFW rate ended up remaining the same, researchers concluded the system succeeded in improving student-teacher engagement. Many traditional grading systems fail to emphasize the importance of relationships in education. When I pose the question, how much have educators emphasized the importance of relationships in your education? 9 out of 12 respondents reported a 3 or lower on a Likert scale of 1 to 5, 5 being a large emphasis and 1 being minimal to no emphasis. This is consistent with other educational literature that points out that our current education system falls short in promoting meaningful connections in education. As expressed in a paper on relational education, while nowhere is one likely to hear an explicit denial of the importance of professional relationships in practice, several features of the contemporary academic scene militate against the ability of graduates to recognize, develop, and utilize what Helen Harris Perlman correctly identified as the heart of helping people. Essentially, our education system recognizes the importance of relationships, but it can do better in promoting it. Another study described the implementation of alternative grading in a large non-majors general chemistry course with the goal to better align course content with grading, improve learning, and develop metacognition, which in simpler terms is just thinking about one's thinking. Providing multiple opportunities to demonstrate mastery was found to be integral to develop students' metacognition while also communicating course material. This was evident by the students' use of retakes. It was clear that students utilized their retakes strategically based on their own understanding of their progress and comfortability with the course material. Furthermore, the system enabled students to understand how they best learned. Like the student-teacher relationship, metacognition is generally neglected in conversations about education despite its critical role in learning. In a study investigating metacognition in schools, researchers found that metacognition is neglected in school policy and practice, but improved pupil outcomes and to a lesser known extent, pupil well-being. Moreover, on the importance in promoting metacognition, an overview on metacognition in education claimed, metacognition nurtures independent thinkers and lifelong learners who are able to grapple with new situations and learn how to learn and continue to learn throughout their lifespan in this hectic pace of life. In another paper, the incorporation of active learning techniques into analytical chemistry courses was analyzed at 3 different institutions. At the College of New Jersey, an instructor used alternative grading to develop students' interpersonal skills. The professor had an individual component and a group component for exams. In the group part, groups of 4 were assigned 1 or 2 questions from the individual exam and were given 20 to 30 minutes to discuss. Then each group presented their solutions to the entire class. The entire class then came to a consensus on each question. This format enabled individuals to learn on their own, collaborate in a small group, and then collaborate in a big group, assessing interpersonal skills to a greater than normally seen degree in education. In a study done on interpersonal skills in an instructional context, researchers claim that interpersonal skills are not often assessed in even basic communication courses. Multiple studies have demonstrated the importance of developing interpersonal skills in education, but it's often neglected in conversations. Furthermore, alternative grading pushes our understanding of teaching and learning further. It pushes the conversation from learning abstract information in isolation to actively applying these concepts together. And most of all, it continuously improves a system that will never stop improving. Thank you.